Hi, how are you? Bruce is going crazy building this patio down in our lawn here in Denmark. We somehow managed to land 5 ton of bricks from Facebook Marketplace for free. And Bruce thought he was going to use it to rebuild the barn we have here in Denmark, but then he had done that with something else. So then he decided he's going to build a patio with it. So he's going absolutely crazy with the angle grinder because now he's getting to the corners. So I hope you can't hear it too much on the on this episode in the background. If so, just just tune out of it. Something that comes up a lot with my clients is consults. I meet a lot of vets that don't want to do consults anymore. They would much prefer just to be in the background running surgeries or doing some admin stuff or just any way to get out of consults. If they could just get handed the animal with the history and just do their own thing, that would be amazing. But actually, consults can be really enjoyable. I used to get really stressed as well. I am an introvert. I was bullied as a kid, so I have an issue. Had an issue with meeting new people and trying to make a good impression, trying to read what they're thinking, trying to get them to like me, and boundaries, of course, was completely out of the question. So I did struggle with this for a while, but now I love consults. I love trying to get in there, get all the information I can, try to make them feel as comfortable as possible. And I'm also really good now at, you know what, if they didn't like me, if they complain, if the chemistry is just not there, I can let it go. I don't need to make it mean anything. So I wanted to give you 5 solid tips that you can use to enjoy your consults much more than you might be doing right now. And you might not have to do all the steps because there might be bits of this that you already figured out or you already like been doing it for so long that you kind of nailed it by yourself. But if I give you all the steps, you can run through in your head what you normally do, and then maybe you can tweak some things you already do, or you can try out something completely new that I mentioned that maybe you haven't done before. Before you want to go into a consult, the first step is to check in with yourself before you ask them to come in. And I know this might seem, if you're really busy and you have a waiting room that's full and you're running behind, it can seem a paradox stopping to check in with yourself. It can seem like a luxury you don't really need, something you don't have time for. But if you can set the scene before they come in, you can actually work so much more focused and you can get the information you need so much quicker and you can transmit the information you want to give so much quicker than if your brain is running like a squirrel around and you're super anxious. So what you want to do before you invite them in, and you don't have to sit down and journal this is in a diary, right? That's not what I'm talking about. When you have that moment when somebody leaves and you have dispensed the medication you need, you told the receptionist they're coming out to pay, you can totally use 20, 30 seconds to check in with yourself. And that you can do either one first or the other first. It doesn't matter. But you want to check in with what thoughts are running through your head, and you want to check in with how your body feels. With the thoughts that are running through your head, you want to check in if you are thinking something along the lines of, I am so stressed, there's so many people waiting, I have so much to do. You know, your brain really occupied with everything else that's going on, and you feel like you're surrounded by this cloud of things, and that makes you feel stressed. Nothing to do with the consult in specifically, but you want to be able to say, okay, I notice I'm thinking, just saying that, I notice I'm thinking that I have a lot to do. I notice I'm thinking that I'm running behind. I know, like take yourself out a bit and notice that you're thinking these things. And in order for you to be able to park them a bit aside, this is not important right now. Now, all I have to do is the next step, which is this consult. So that's one line of thought you might have running that are stopping you from being able to focus fully on this console and give it all you have and have your brain working at 100% capacity because it's busy thinking about everything else that's going on or will go on. The next thing you want to check for are any thoughts around this console coming now or you work as a vet in general. So I don't feel confident. I am not doing really well. Maybe you had a case that didn't go well the day before, the week before. Maybe you have a complaint going on. For example, I had this complaint to talk about with a euthanasia that really threw me because I was not expecting to have a complaint about euthanasia. And I could feel when I then had euthanasia the following week that suddenly I felt more self-conscious about it, and I thought, oh, I shouldn't make the same mistake again. And I had to catch myself thinking that, because that made me feel nervous. It made me feel a bit on edge, and I wasn't so focused on the people coming in on their animal, because now I was looking for, oh, I hope they're not going to be the kind of people that are going to complain about me like these last ones. So that was really just this not disturbing. It was a disturbance. It was a distraction for me thinking about this one complaint out of a million euthanasias I've done. But your brain will offer this up to you. So say you have a skin case coming in, or a UTI, or a behavioral, whatever it is, and you've had a bad experience in the past, last week, yesterday, earlier today, with this specific kind of cases, or these specific breed, or whatever it is, just notice when your brain now wants to jump to conclusion that you're really bad at this, and you're gonna do badly, and they're not gonna be happy with you, and you are crap, and you should not be confident. All the negative self-talk. I want you to really notice when your brain is coming up with this, because that will stunt you as well, and you will have this little voice in the back of your brain. I think on the podcast when I had Kerry Lewis, he said the gremlin, like the gremlin in your brain telling you how bad you are, how useless, how you shouldn't be doing this. You really want to check in with that before you go into a consult, and bring your brain back to reminding you, no, I have done so well with so many cases. This thing I'm thinking about, or whatever it is that makes me feel like I have taken a knock to my confidence, it means nothing in relation to this consult I'm having right now. So you want to notice that self-talk. You also want to notice any judgment or biases towards the clients coming in, maybe towards the breed. I have to check in on my brain so much when I have French bulldogs or English bulldogs coming in, specifically French bulldogs, because I have such a bias towards the owner, the type of people that breed them, the type of people that would buy them, how ill the dogs always are. It's a really big thing for me. So I have to rein my own judgment and biases and opinions in before I see them, and I have to remind myself it's just another case, it's just another patient, and this family doesn't have anything to do necessarily with the horrible breeders I've come across. So checking on any biases, or maybe the way they dress, or the way they have formulated their concern, or the type of breed. Oh, these people are going to be super poor, they can't afford anything, now I'll just have to offer up minimal baseline treatments and tests because they're not going to be able to afford it. Or people with this breed are typically really pushed, so now I have to speak in a certain way. Notice any biases and judgment you have before they come in, because 90% of them are going to be absolutely wrong, and they're just going to be in a way of you being consistently open, curious, able to ask the right questions, able to see through what there is, if you don't have that filter of judgment and bias. That was checking in with the thoughts and the negative self-talk and anything else going on in your brain. That can be really quick. Like, all these thoughts are not going to be running through your brain before each consult. Just one or two of them will probably make you feel in a certain way, and you just want to check in with them. And just by saying, oh, I notice I'm thinking bulldog owners are terrible, I probably want to just rein that thought in a bit. Oh, I notice I'm thinking this is going to go really bad because the last case went bad, and now I think I'm not capable of running these cases. Just notice that. That straight away is going to take a lot of power out of that thought, and you're going to notice it then when you're in the console, if it comes back. Oh no, we said to ourselves we're not going to be thinking about this right now. The second thing you will want to check in with yourself before the consult, this is still part of the first step, is taking a quick scan of your feelings. Am I feeling anxious? Am I feeling tired? Am I feeling bored? Am I feeling resentful because there's so many clients out there? Am I feeling stressed because I'm running behind? Just the fact that you can say, okay, what I'm feeling right now is, for example, I'm feeling a knot in my stomach. I notice I'm not breathing into my chest because I am thinking about all the cases that are waiting for me. That scan alone and that acceptance of this is what I'm feeling right now, that is also just going to deflate the balloon of that feeling so quickly and make you feel so much more in control and calm when you take them in. Also, if you're having some negative feelings, let's say you're super upset and sad because you just had a very traumatic euthanasia, maybe with a dog that you knew since pup, or the owners are really upset. Can you feel sad and just accept that and notice that you're going to go into this consult with maybe a bit lower energy than normal? Can you make it not mean anything about you, or that you should always feel in a certain way. Or if you're feeling resentful, can you say to yourself, I'm feeling a bit resentful because all these people want all these things from me. And that's okay right now. I can have that feeling. But just stopping and acknowledging it instead of just powering through and grinding through and having that resentment in your body and you don't even know why or how or what's going on. Just that knowledge, just checking in with yourself, with your thoughts and your feelings before a consult is gonna be worth so much for the rest of your day to be able to carry on for this consult so you can focus for yourself. So at the end of the day, when you go home, you haven't had to build up all these thoughts spinning around and all these feelings crashing into your body and you just trying to push them aside and plow through. And hey, if you're feeling really anxious and really bad, you taking 2 minutes to go into the bathroom, hide, do some breath work, maybe even journal on a piece of toilet paper, whatever you can get hold of, just to calm yourself down. That is, I mean, if some people have to wait 5 minutes, 2 minutes more because of that, that is not your problem. You need to take care of yourself first. And you also want them to have a good experience. And if you feel that you are so wired right now, you're so anxious, or you're so upset right now, you can't see them, so be it. You need to take some time for yourself because otherwise they're not going to get the attention they want and need, right? The second thing you want to do before you let the clients in is assuming good intent. And you want to do that. This is the process for as you open the door and call their name, and also as they're coming in and you're looking at them, no matter how they maybe stop towards the waiting room, we have waited for so long, or maybe they are coming in super hunched, or maybe they're coming in looking at you in a certain way, or they say certain words in a way that may come through as aggressive to you. Assume good intent no matter what. They are here for help. They want you to help them. They want you to give them some certainty that you can help their pet whichever way, or you can give them some answers. They want you to look at their pet. They want you to listen to them. That's what they're there for. They're not really there to attack you or attack the receptionist or be in a certain way. They might just come across like that. Assume good intent no matter what. Assume that they are there open, they're there happy for you to ask them questions, they're there happy to answer you, they're happy for you to examine their dog. Like, assume good intention until they have very solidly proven otherwise. Because often we get into conversations, we get into social situations with a bias of they don't like me, they're just here to try and get free consult, they don't know what they're talking about. They are just here to kind of attack me. And when we get into this defensive mode of feeling they're out to get us because maybe we had a complaint or maybe they have complained before or anything like that, then you are going to come across in a certain way that might lead that social interaction, this consult, into a way it wouldn't have if you hadn't assumed negative intent and then answered as if they are attacking you. So if somebody comes in and says, "Oh, you're really busy today, aren't you?" You could assume that they're saying that as a gateway to now complain about the waiting time. And then you can start getting defensive and say, well, yeah, because we are missing a staff member, and this is just how it happens sometimes. And you also have to wait when you go to ER, and you can really defensive on your side, and that comes across a bit aggressive to them. Now you set a tone that is not really desirable to start a consult and be on the same level of communication. Instead, if they come in and they say, "Oh, you're really busy today, aren't you?" You could assume they're just saying that we're really busy today. They had noticed a lot of animals are coming in and out. Maybe they had to wait a bit more than usual. And you can just say, "Yeah, we are really busy. We had this case that," and you could tell them a bit about your day and why you're busy, but not in a defensive way or trying to micromanage the way they are feeling about it. Just be super open and honest and assume that they're just asking because they're curious, not because they're here to attack you. So assuming good intent, and remember, they're just here for help. They're just there these people are often desperate. They're really worried about their pets. They're not here to attack you. They sometimes just don't know how to express what they want. But if you're assuming it's always going to come from a good place, you avoid straight away going into that defensive body language, defensive tone, defensive way of talking, right? The next thing you don't want to do, and now these two first steps are something you have to do at the start of the consult. The next three are mixed in between each other during the consult. But let's go through them and then you can land them wherever you want in the consult, depending on how the situation is going. The third thing I want to say is don't try to manage or manipulate their thoughts and emotions. Of course, when people come in, we want them to have as good as an experience as possible. We want them to feel that we're there for them, that we are helping them. We want them to feel that we're doing a good job. We want them to think we are good vets. We want them to think that we care about their pets. And of course, especially if you do these first steps I said to you, you're going to be able to transmit that. You're going to be able to be the best you can be. You're going to be able to give it your all. You can put all your experience, all your personal special little quirks that make you this amazing vet, you can put that into practice and you can apply it on their pet and on this family. Now, this is not always going to land the same way. If you think about the model that I've taught in the past, where you have a circumstance, you think something about that circumstance, that makes you feel a thing, and then you take action from that thing and you're creating a result. That action and result you're creating for yourself is now gonna be the circumstance of the client, of the pet owner. So the vet said, XYZ, now they get to think and feel and take action from that circumstance you have given them, which is the words you've given them or the test you've given them or whatever it is. That model is completely on them. And as much as you can try your best, and I always advocate for being as open, as loving, as compassionate as possible while maintaining your boundary, you also cannot manipulate or micromanage their thoughts and emotions. And thinking that we are in control of that makes us want to control that. And that is like trying to control a family member that speaks too loud at family gatherings, that drinks too much at gatherings, that is just not how we want them to be. You can't control adult people. You can't make people change how they are or how they express themselves. You can't change their prior traumas. For example, I'm quite a tall woman. I am 180, so 180 centimeters, 6 foot, whatever, in your people weird language, other language. And I know that sometimes, not often in the veterinary world, but other places where maybe like small guys often feel threatened by me. It's what I call the little guy syndrome. And I'm not saying every not tall guy it's going to be like that. That is just something I experience, that small guys tend to be triggered by me being tall, and they can be, I don't know, nasty situations have just happened to me sometimes. And when I look back, I'm like, oh, it was a small guy syndrome. So let's say you are a tall person and this small person comes in and they just have an incredible bias. They have a lens they put on that makes them just hate tall people. I mean, you can do your best and you can look back at, I said and did. I stand by everything I said and did and felt in that moment. But they, for some reason, are just not there with it. There's just no chemistry. They just don't like you. They just get upset no matter what you say. They take everything the negative way. And listen, there's just nothing you can do to change that. You just have to stand by how you are. If you showed up the best you could, if you prep yourself before the consultation to be the best you could, and you checked in on your biases, on your feelings, on your judgment before they came in, and you, honest to God, you were open, you were curious, you tried to like maintain the energy, and they were just not there with you. Now, you cannot manage that. You cannot try to control that, and you cannot take that home with you as in, I did a bad job. You cannot manage and manipulate other people's thoughts and emotions. You can do your part and you then let it go. So that is the result of the model you've created for yourself. You're sending it over to them and now they grab it and they can do with it whatever they want. Or if you wear a perfume that maybe their horrible primary school teacher wore that just gives them this ick straight away. Or I don't know, maybe the color of your uniform, or maybe they literally just had a really bad road rage experience. They come in a certain way and you cannot manage that. You cannot control that. Wanting to control how other people think and feel and act is just going to be such an uphill battle for you. It's going to burn you out. You're absolutely going to hate consults. So the way to do it is, I noticed this, stay curious, ask them questions, but I'm going to come to you now, but also just let it go then. You just have to let it go, and you have to say to yourself, did I show up like I wanted to show up? Could I stand by this? Yes. Okay. Let it go. This is something you could also journal on at the end of the day. So if you think that you're suffering a lot with consults, I would definitely encourage you to journal on these things and work through the conversation backwards. So when was it I lost them? Or when they said this, what did I say to make them say that? And what was I feeling in that moment? And so on. And notice maybe a lot of patterns you have of wanting to try to control people. For example, my dad was an alcoholic, so I tend to want to secure the room. So I want to make sure that everybody are happy. I want to make sure everybody are calm. And if I notice somebody is acting out, or if I notice somebody's really unhappy, or somebody's really frustrated or angry, I want to control them. I want to say something, or fix them so they're no longer sad or frustrated or angry. And I have learned with the years that is very, 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 very hard work. If you notice you have these patterns of people pleasing, then this is the work for you. And I would really advise that you dig deep into this specific third step of not trying to manage, not try to manipulate, not try to control other people's thoughts and emotions. People are adult, they can do what they want. The fourth step I encourage you to really take on board with you in consults is let go of having all the answers. Let go of that ego that wants you to be the best vet they've ever seen. The ego that makes you feel inadequate and not so good if you don't have the answer straight away. This is something I think we learn with the years that we can't always have. And then some of us older vets, we just keep getting traumatized over it. We should know by now. And some of us just get better with age and understanding that we don't have all the answers. But especially as a young vet, it's a bit like Mount Stupid. So, you come out, you go into vet school and you know absolutely nothing. And then you come out as a new grad, and then you also realize, oh my God, I know absolutely nothing. I can't remember how to stick a thermometer up a cat's butt. And then you learn, you have your first half year and you learn and you're like, I know so much now. This is amazing. I can actually drop, I have diagnosed a Cushing. Yeah. And you feel you know everything. That is the top of Mount Stupid, where the bottom is I know nothing, which is when you start out. And then you go up, and the top is, I think I know everything. I know everything now. I'm so good. And then you start learning so much that you actually realize that you don't know that much. And you just have this, you get so overwhelmed with everything you still have to learn. And it's a different time period for everyone. But often it stays in us, this ego, this all encompassing thing that I need to have all the answers. Like if we were some sort of veterinary gods, which we are not. We just don't know the answers. I have to everything. I have been in this field for, what am I now? 48, I think 22 years maybe. And still, every week I have of nights, I see one thing at least that I have never seen before, that I have never heard about before. And the weirdest stuff, you're like, how is this even possible after all these shifts I've done, all these animals I've seen, there's still stuff to come in. And I'm like, I have no idea what this is. And sometimes I speak to the internal medicine specialist and they have no idea what's wrong. And then they take 1,000 tests and then it gets better or it dies. And they'll be like, oh, I don't really know what happened here. So to think that we need to have the answers straight away. For example, they come in, they give you the history, or you already seen a bit of the history in the diary. And then they come in and your brain just wants to know all the answers straight away. You need to back up a bit, because wanting to have all the answers straight away is going to produce two things. One is you're going to be incredibly stressed out and anxious when you don't have all the answers. When you have a complicated case or something that may be perceived as complicated, and then often they are not. But then the simple case, they're not complicated, and so on. When you think you should have the answer, that should. I say that could and shame together are should. So I should know this, or I should have the answer to this, or why don't I know this? That's going to bring a little bit of shame of not having the full answer. And that is going to make you very, very stressed, because you're having an expectation of something that's unrealistic and you want to reach that 100% of answers all the time. And that's going to stress you out unbelievably much. And on top of that, which is still part of the secondary effect you're having of this, is that now you're gonna feel like you need to gaslight the owners. You need to tell them things you don't really know, and that just brings you out in this like gray area of saying things you're not really in charge of, and now you really feel out of control, and you might lose the owners a bit because they can feel you're not really that confident now. The second bit of wanting to have all the answers is what we're going to come to next, which is you're going to assume stuff. You're going to assume you know because you want to know, and you're going to overlook things. There are things you're not going to ask about in the history. There are tests you're not going to do, or there are tests you are going to do because you're assuming, and you're going to miss out things. And you're going to miss out on the communication with the owners because now you're no longer open, neutral, curious. Now you are constricted, bit of shame, a bit of guilt, I should be better. You're backing back and you're losing confidence. And often when the ego has taken over, we want to prove a persona, a personality, a situation that's not true because we want them to think we're better than we are. And that leads us to the 5 step of having a really good consult is assume nothing. I cannot reiterate enough how often we have had an emergency coming down and the receptionist or the vet nurse or the vet assistant that has taken the phone, write down whatever it is, possible bloat, maybe broken a leg, collapsed, got maybe a trauma. They write something down that makes me start away, oh no, it's a bloat, is it going to be a GDV? And by the time they come in, like whatever they said over the phone, I have no idea where they got it from because when they come in, it's nothing to do with what they actually said. So that has taught me, first of all, not to assume I know what's coming in for a start from what is on the diary, because that is batshit crazy. I swear to God, what they say and then what comes in is 80% of the time, it's not even near. And the thing is, our receptionists, the kennel assistants, the vet nurses, they're all trained. They're experienced in taking these calls. And it's not because they are misinterpreting what the owner says. The owner literally says these things. But then when they come in, it's nothing to do with it. So that is like not even assuming that you know what's going to come through the door. But once in front of you, there might be things that you see straight away that make you think this is what it is. And now you're missing out. You're missing out if you don't do a full clinical exam because you think that the problem is the anal glands, or you think the problem is a bite, or you think whatever, you're going to miss out on things that's going to give you the whole picture of something maybe much more complicated than you initially thought. Or something the owners say, okay, so now ruled out a foreign body because they never let them play with toys. Completely forgetting to mention that when they go to doggy daycare, they have lots of toys. But you ask them, they don't have any toys at home. So now you assume they never play with toys. Assume nothing. So do your full clinical exam. And when you're doing your history, be super open, be curious, ask open-ended questions, make them feel also heard and understood, because the double-sided sword of this, the two sides of the story is when you assume something, first of all, you're going to miss out on symptoms, you're going to miss out on clinical signs that you didn't notice because your brain was over here. And when you assume stuff, you're also going to miss out on relationship with the owners where they feel heard and understood, because you think, I already know what this is. They're going to start talking about how he had some fish to eat on Thursday, and you're completely going to disregard that because you know the problem is the foreign body. You know it's the ball he was playing with on Sunday. You think you know. But assuming this, now they feel like you're not taking them seriously. They feel you're not really listening. They don't feel understood. They feel like you're not taking a complete history, and they feel dismissed. So assuming stuff is only going to lead you down a road to nowhere, and it's going to create a lot of frustration for you, the patient, and the owners. So let me quickly take you through the 5 steps to enjoying your consults. 1, check on yourself before you go in the consult. So check on any thoughts you have, negative thoughts, judgment, biases, prior conversations going on, and just notice themselves to say to yourself, I'm thinking that. Do a quick body scan, notice any emotions you're having, lean into them, name them, and don't make it mean anything if you're having a negative emotion. If you're taking on a challenging case, it makes sense that you feel a bit nervous and a bit stressed. It's normal. Step is assuming good intent. They are here for help. Don't assume they're here to attack you in any way or that they're here to challenge your knowledge. Third step is don't try to manage, manipulate, or control in any way or form their thoughts, feelings, or actions. Just be the best you can and show up like that person you want to be. Fourth step is letting go of having all the answers, that necessity from your ego to be in charge of everything, to be in control of everything and know everything. Just be honest with the owners, talk through what you're thinking right now, and just take the next step and say, I know what the next step is. Sticking a temperature up the butt, and so on. And five, assume nothing. Don't assume you know what's happening with the animal, and don't assume you know what the owners want. An add-on to this is at the end of the consult, when you're reaching the end, is there anything else you're thinking of? What else are you thinking of? Try open-ended question. If I say, if that, have you got any other questions? That's a yes or no answer. It's much better to say, what other questions do you have, or what's on your mind, or what were you thinking? With what intention did you come today? You can literally ask that if it's not 100% clear, and even if you think it's clear what they want, still ask the question, because tell you what, you cannot mind read. You cannot, and you might be so wrong about what you're assuming that you're never gonna even know how badly guided you are by that assumption. I hope this was really helpful. Again, I want to say, if you want to have more content that's helpful for you, or you have something you want me to talk about, any questions you want answered, I did this and it didn't work, or this always happens to me in consults, I have a questionnaire you can fill out. It only takes you a couple of minutes. It's a Google Doc that's linked in the show notes, so please check it out and just fill out, take your time and just ask me any questions so I can answer them on here. I can do that anonymously, absolutely, or any feedback or any ideas to what else could be really helpful for you in your day to day to feel less stressed, less anxious, and basically a bit more calm and joyful in your veterinary day. It was really lovely to talk to you. Take care.